Hello, I'm at Bradford. Look at me, and what do you see? You probably see a blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl who wears glasses, and probably hasn't had to work for much of her life. Well, yes, I do have blonde hair, I wear glasses, and I have blue eyes. And I really like to braid my hair. But what you can't see, what lies beneath my surface, is I have dyslexia and ADHD. Dyslexia is a specific learning disability that is neurological in origin, which just basically means it's related to the brain. It is characterized with difficulties with accurate and/or fluent word recognition and by poor spelling and decoding abilities. I got that straight from the website of the International Dyslexic Association. As you can see by these graphs, a dyslexic student compared to a normal, non-impaired dyslexic student is probably has about the same IQ, but their reading level is significantly lower than their IQ. So they're often perceived as stupid, and they're often told that they won't amount to much in life. In addition, 10% of the American population has dyslexia. And it's also really important to know that each of those people have dyslexia in a different way. So you can't really fit it into one category because everyone experiences it differently. And how personally affects me is that I flip up my letters all the time, as you can see in this slide. But also, I have a really hard time with left and right. I cannot tell them apart. Gosh, that's going to be fun learning how to drive. But also, I can't decode really well. So when I was younger, my mom, she thought I could read very, very well. And she would argue with my teacher saying, well, of course she can read. I mean, she's reading words like beautiful and charming. Yes, she can read. But my teacher would combat that with saying, well, she's recognizing patterns. She's recognizing patterns, the B, the A, the U, and connecting those to images in her brain. And she's memorizing those patterns. And she can recognize those patterns over and over, but she's not actually reading. She's not actually decoding. I also struggle a lot with my handwriting skills. In fact, my 10-year-old brother has had better handwriting than me ever since he has started to learn to write. And I also can't spell very well. My history teacher told me the other day that he found a word spelled 5 different times in the same paragraph. Yeah. So, growing up, I was very lucky. I was diagnosed early. My first grade teacher, Mrs. Rodriguez, suggested that I get tested. Oops, sorry. Suggested I get tested. My parents took her advice, and they took me and I got tested, and turns out a lot. I do have dyslexia, and I also have ADHD. And so I'm also very lucky in another retrospect, in that I have a form of dyslexia where I can comprehend things very well. Other dyslexics aren't as fortunate. Think of it this way. Think of it as my mind can take a picture, and my picture has a lot of detail, and it's very clear with a lot of pixels. Someone who doesn't understand or can't comprehend very well, their picture is blurry with not as many details. In addition to all of that, I was also isolated a lot growing up. Part of this was the fact that I was in this new experimental program called the dual language program, in which the students would learn Spanish and English, growing up in all of the subjects. So math, science, reading, writing, social studies, we all learned those in both of the languages. And the community and the school wasn't really ready to accept all these, the different people coming in. And as a result, we were bullied, and we were excluded, and we were put down. And from within the dual language community, I was singled out because I was a little bit of a nerd. Actually, no, I was a lot of bit of a nerd. I really liked Abraham Lincoln, as you can see from my socks. I got these as a birthday present one year. I also have Abraham Lincoln paper dolls that are my favorite paper dolls. I have shelves and shelves and shelves of books just dedicated solely to Abraham Lincoln. Anyway, I digress. But since the students in this program saw that I was odd and saw that I was falling behind in my reading and my math skills, they in turn turned on me. And I remember being excluded, being put down, and actually physically kicked at some points. But it wasn't all bad and terrible. The friends that I did make in that dual language program have been my best friends then, are my best friends now, and will be my best friends until I do not know when. But I was also really fortunate in the being in dual language, because learning a second language, it requires a lot of auditory and visual learning skills, which for me works perfectly, because that's exactly how I learn. And I was also very fortunate in another retrospect in that I met one of the most important people in my life to me, and that it was my 5th grade teacher, Mrs. Alfano. She was one of the first people that really recognized that I had potential and that I could go the extra mile. And she would sit and she would listen to me, and she would encourage me to explore these little crevices and nuances that I found. And I'm so fortunate that my little brothers also had the opportunity to have her as a teacher. To combat, my parents decided that they wouldn't let me fall behind in school. So they sent me to a summer program in Ohio at this private school called Springer. All of the students in this school were there because they had some sort of learning disability, whether it was ADHD, dyslexia, or some sort of physical medical condition. There, I found that I wasn't alone. There's all these other people just like me, who can't read very well, or who have a bunch of trouble concentrating, or can't really walk up the stairs very well. And I finally found a place where I could be myself, and no one would judge me. No one would think that I was weird. No one would put me down. And it was a great experience for me to experience as a small child. To combat my dyslexia, I used little tips and tricks like this bed to remember my B's and D's. And also, I learned a cool math facts trick for my 9s specifically. And I would use audiobooks when reading things for class, or just things in general for pleasure. And whenever I watch TV, I put the subtitles on. And on top of that, spell check is a wonderful tool. If I did not have spell check, you would not be able to read anything I write. But yes, it is really frustrating sometimes to see the little red squiggles on almost all of your words, but you get used to that. Transitioning into middle school was frustrating. I felt like I was put in a deep, dark cave. And I was put in that cave in 4th grade when I wasn't considered for any of the extended or higher academic level courses, either in different schools or within my own school. I felt really frustrated in my math and science and reading classes because I had read the Shakespeare. I had read the Jane Austen. I had read all of those things. I knew it. And I felt like I was banging my head against a wall in frustration because I wasn't given the opportunity, and the teachers just always assumed, oh, she's dyslexic, she can't do it, it's okay. Just put her in that lower level, she'll be fine. But fortunately, my climb out of the cave began in 7th grade, when I was put into an honors history course with Mr. Delatorre. There, I was really able to flourish, and I could find my passion and my true potential, and my true potential for intelligence. Also, in middle school, I learned that I'm good at writing. I can make up ideas like on the spot, but I'm not so great at editing. In fact, I actually making this TED Talk was this very long process of multiple people telling me, okay, consolidate, Emma, you're telling them way too much detail, stop. But also, I learned that I had to advocate for myself. I had to talk to my teachers. I had to get the audiobooks. I had to get the extra time on test and the different locations for test and things like that to help me succeed. And beyond that, I also learned that not only do you need to advocate for yourself, but you need to find people who will advocate for you. Some of my biggest advocates in 8th grade were some of my teachers, like Miss Helt and Miss Meckert. These were people who saw my intelligence and saw that I was above the cut and that I should be in those honors classes. And they thought, why is she here? You're the only person talking in class. Why are you here? You should be in the other classes. And they really pushed for me to go in when I went into high school to be in those upper level classes. And by the words of a great Jedi Master, I learned, do or do not, there is no try. And that's really what I have to live by to this day. I have to go out there and get what I want and advocate for myself and make sure that it happens. Because if I don't, it's not going to happen. In high school, I'm pretty sure that I can say that I'm a success. I'm in 6 AP classes, I am flourishing, and I love every single one of them. And I've been to Carnegie Hall, I've performed there, and I'm also going to LA to perform in a choir competition in a couple of weeks, so I'm very excited for that. And I also recently got appointed to be on a board of a club here at school. The board is Girls Who Code, and its main message is to outreach to women in STEM fields and give them the proper support that they need to be successful in their whatever field they want to be, or just to give them the opportunity to experience different science, technology, engineering, or mathematics opportunities. Also, I really like reading. Granted, I use audiobooks all the time, but I love to just sit and read and hear about other people's ideas and learn about those different worlds that authors can create. And I'd just like to say in conclusion, to the dyslexics out there and to the parents and family members of dyslexics, it's okay. You have people like Pablo Picasso and Walt Disney and Whoopi Goldberg and Muhammad Ali and George Washington, all these really successful people who've been able to make it, and they are dyslexics. And also, you need to advocate for yourself. You need to find the things that will help you, such as the new Dsylexia font, which works wonders. I use it all the time. To find a person who will help you in your everyday. In fact, one of the dyslexic I interviewed before this talk told me that his main resource is his wife. And also to reread classics, reread stories that you already know, to practice the decoding abilities that we're very bad at. To the educational system, I would like to say that we need to educate teachers in how to see dyslexia and other learning disabilities, and also to help diagnose it so that the dyslexics that they find in the future generations can have the support that they need, and they don't need to grow up feeling like they're worth nothing, that they won't amount to anything, that they will have the proper support, and they will be able to create and be the people that they will be and that they deserve to be. And finally, to everyone else watching, be kind, because everyone you meet is fighting a battle. Thank you.